Hey guys, it's TreeBaron here, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Battlefield 1 trial and my impressions of it so far. In case you didn't know, last weekend Battlefield 1 offered a free trial for Origin members, and I decided that I wanted to go ahead and try the game. I normally don't buy games at full price. I normally wait for them to go down in price, and Battlefield 1 is currently on sale, and I had a free trial, so I figured I'd play the trial, and if I liked it, I'd buy it. I own Battlefield 3, and I own Battlefield 4, and I have quite a lot of hours on both of those, so I really enjoy the Battlefield series. I don't think it takes itself super seriously, but it's quite fun. I love the vehicles mixed with the infantry on the maps and capturing the points and stuff like that. So I really do enjoy the Battlefield series. Battlefield 1 is interesting because it's an attempt to go back to the World War I sort of era. So it's going back in time instead of forward, which I think it was a good decision to do that, to try to change up the Battlefield formula, so to speak. I think that there was a bit of a misstep, though. I don't know if you've played Star Wars Battlefront, the newer one, but it's essentially the same as the Battlefield games. It's everybody plays kind of a conquest mode, though there are other modes, but not as well played. And you go around and you capture points, and the game has great sound design, great graphics, but it's got this generic feel to it. Even though it's Star Wars and it's got the music and it's got the aesthetic, after you play it for a little while, it starts to feel more and more generic. And honestly, it gets kind of boring. And that game didn't come with a lot of maps by default, and there was a lot of issues with the DLC and stuff, and I don't generally buy DLC, and for that game, I didn't feel the need, and for most games, I don't feel the need to. So anyway, if you played Star Wars Battlefront, from what I can tell, Battlefield 1 seems to have kind of the same issue. It has an interesting setting. It's got pretty cool maps. Well, they're all right maps, and unique weapons, I suppose. But a lot of the problem with it, to me, is that it doesn't feel different enough. So if you're fine with that, if you haven't played the Battlefield series for a long time, or you just, you don't care, you want the same game over, just, different guns or a different setting, that's fine. But I really felt that Battlefield 1 was an opportunity to change up the series, to do something different, to make it more interesting. And while they seem to have added some different game modes, which get played a little bit, overall, the series doesn't feel different. I was hoping that maybe they would bring in more realism to the Battlefield series so that they could bring in more interesting aspects, so that it wouldn't feel as generic. If they had gone in and delved into the history of World War I a little bit more and sort of discovered a bit more what it was like, they could have... I'm not saying that they make a totally realistic game. I'm not saying that at all. I want my games to be fun, and obviously war is not fun. But they could have taken certain aspects of the realism and placed it in the game. And I think they do that a little bit, but I don't think they're trying very hard. And I don't think that they included elements that were typical of World War I. It feels like it wants to be set in the World War II era. And I have a hunch that Battlefield, I guess they're going back to Battlefield 2, will be set during World War II. And I think that they wanted to do this game first, just to see if it would be popular, and then move on to World War II. The problem is, World War I, if you take in certain aspects of it, certain realism aspects, it's not a terribly fast-paced sort of war. A lot of it was trench warfare, and at some point people would charge at the enemy and get gunned down, and there'd be artillery and gas, and it's not these light skirmish battles with infantry running around. It was a different thing, and it doesn't make that great of a game. And I think that Battlefield 1 struggled with that, and in the end they decided to take out most of the realism, but I think they took out too much, and so that it lost a lot of the character that the game should have, being a game set in World War I. The starter weapons, 2 of them are machine guns right off the bat. I was hoping that you would start out bolt action rifles like most infantry would have had and earn your way up, right? Machine gun should be one of those top tier weapons, right? This is some coveted thing. It's difficult to get. Even semi-automatic rifles wouldn't have been very common. It would have been mostly bolt action. They had some machine guns, some semi-auto rifles, But the game totally ignores that. There's no sort of... I don't feel like I can... I suppose I can unlock better weapons, but I don't feel like I'm unlocking what I should be unlocking. You should start with bolt action, and they're accurate, but they're just not... they're slow. They're slow to reload. They're slow to, on the bolting and whatnot. And work your way up, and then maybe the top tier players would have machine guns, so eventually everyone would, kind of, or at least most players would have machine guns, but a lot of people would have gotten used to the bolt action rifles and would have used those, and that would have brought realism to the game and give it a unique style, right? But they haven't done that. And the guns you start out with, I was able to unlock a trench gun almost right away. Like I said, you start with 2 machine guns. The only bolt action gun that you start default with is the sniper rifle. And if you'll notice, Battlefield 4, most of their starting sniper rifles are bolt action. So it didn't take advantage of the era. There are some cool things. It's very cool riding in bombers. I wasn't able to fly them, but I was able to be a gunner in the bomber. The tanks are interesting. They're unique. But again, with the tanks, I think that the tanks are far too common in the games. Now, maybe they would have been that common late war, but I'm not totally against them wanting to put tanks on every level. I'm not against that. I just think that this should have been an infantry-focused game more than the other games, and they should have taken advantage of the era, and they didn't do that. So I think that ultimately the game plays sort of generic when it really shouldn't. And so ultimately I haven't decided yet, but I'm probably not going to get it until it goes down a lot more in price, and then I'll probably pick it up. Some other things to talk about. I have had frequent crashes with Battlefield 1. I've had frame rate drops, I've had crashes, I've had lag in general. The Battlefield series has had these issues. Battlefield 4, for me, lately has been crashing a lot as well. And I have, the latest drivers. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe they're too up to date. I don't know. But this isn't really acceptable. Having a game that's kind of the same as the other Battlefield games, that's fine. But it's the same in all the wrong ways, right? And it crashes, and it's got frame rate drops, and it's got issues. So at this point, if somebody asks me, "Hey, you played Battlefield 1, what do you think about it?" I'm gonna say, if you're a hardcore Battlefield fan, you might enjoy it. If you're wanting kind of the same thing over and over again, it's a little different. It's a little bit different, but ultimately, it feels like the same game that you're playing, and I don't think that is a good thing. I don't think that was a good direction to take the game. So anyway, those were my thoughts on the Battlefield 1 free trial. Have you played Battlefield 1? Did you play the free trial, or do you own it? What do you think? Go ahead and leave a comment below and let me know.